80% of people experiencing spiritual awakening give up in the middle of the process, but they don't even know they've given up. Why? Because awakening is uncomfortable. It's painful. It requires you to question everything, and most people can't bear this pain, so they go back. But they call it being realistic. They say being grounded. They deceive themselves this way. But there's something worse. Some people don't give up. They go in the wrong direction. They enter new cages in the name of awakening. New dogmas, new beliefs, new identities. I'm spiritual now, they say, and this becomes a new prison. There's research. Most people who join spiritual communities are less free 5 years later. How? Because being spiritual also has its rules, its expectations, its judgments, and people unknowingly start conforming to a new group. Real awakening is not this. Real awakening is liberation from all identities, from all communities, from all beliefs. Now let me tell you something. Spiritual awakening is a journey, not a destination. And on this journey, there are many traps. Some are obvious, you avoid them easily, but some are so subtle that you don't even realize you're in them. And here's the dangerous part. These traps look spiritual. They come disguised as goodness. We're helping you, they say, but actually, they're trying to put you back to sleep. Because look, society doesn't like awake people. Awake people ask questions. They question systems. They break rules. So society tries to pull you back, but it doesn't do this openly. It does it in much more subtle ways. Family says, you've changed. Friends say, you're no fun anymore. Coworkers say, these spiritual things are fine. But real life isn't like this. And slowly, you start to believe them too. But here's the truth. They're not right. They're just afraid. Your awakening disturbs their sleep. Your freedom shows their chains. That's why they want to pull you back. And they do it with love. With good intentions. That's why it's much more dangerous. Now, I'm going to tell you about the traps you need to stay away from during spiritual awakening. These will pull you back, stop you. And if you don't see them, you might be living a new sleep instead of awakening. Have you ever noticed? When you start to awaken spiritually, your old environment becomes alienated. The things they talk about no longer interest you. Gossip is meaningless. Who's dating whom, who bought what, none of it matters. The things they care about are meaningless to you. New car, new house, new phone. You see, there's no point in acquiring these things, just temporary excitement. Then emptiness again? This is normal, because you're living at different consciousness levels now. They're sleeping, you're waking up. They're in the game, you're outside. Imagine you're meeting with a friend. They're telling you about their new car, how expensive it is, how people look at them. Then they talk about office gossip. Who did what to whom? Then about a celebrity's scandal, and you're sitting there, drinking your coffee, smiling, nodding your head, but thinking inside, what's the point of all this? Aren't there more important things to talk about? But you can't say it, because, they'll think you're weird. Or you're at a family dinner. Everyone's complaining about the economy, about neighbors, about the government, even about the weather. Complaints about everything, but no solutions, just complaints. And you're sitting there quietly, because you see there's no point in complaining anymore. You see, complaining only makes things worse, but they interpret your silence as indifference. Here's where the danger begins. People will try to return you to your old self. They'll say you've changed so much, as an accusation, as if you've made a mistake. And if you're not careful, you'll start wearing your old mask again to make them happy. But understand this, you can't go back. Once you've seen, you can't pretend you haven't. Once you've awakened, you can't sleep again. You can try, you can pretend to sleep, but this will only make you sick. Physically sick, spiritually sick. Keeping distance doesn't mean abandoning them. It means protecting your own space, your own energy. You can still see them, but you're no longer caught in their energy. You don't get involved in their dramas. You can still love them, but you no longer carry their expectations. Maybe one day they'll awaken too. They'll see your example. They'll see your peace, and they'll wonder, how can you be so calm? They'll ask, and that's when, perhaps, they'll start their own journey, or they won't awaken. Maybe they never will. Maybe their journey is different, but that's not your problem. Your problem is only staying true to your own journey. And here's where the most insidious trap appears. Spiritual ego. When spiritual awakening begins, the ego doesn't die. It just changes shape. It used to say, I'm successful. Now it says, I'm awakened. It used to say, I'm important. Now it says, I'm enlightened. Same game, just a different costume. And this new ego is more dangerous than the old one because it thinks it's spiritual, highly conscious, chosen. And this arrogance is the beginning of the greatest fall. You learned a new meditation technique. You had amazing experiences. Maybe one day during meditation you felt very deep peace. Maybe you saw that everything is one. And then what happened? You started telling others you still don't understand. I'm different now. Or you read a few books. You read Alan Watts, Eckhart Tolle. You attended a few seminars. And now you think you're a guru. You're giving people advice, judging them. You're not ready yet, you say. This is spiritual ego. And it's so widespread that most spiritual communities are actually ego competitions. Who meditates more? Who's more vegan? Who's less materialistic? Who's at a higher vibration? All ego games. Just in a new wrapper, real awakening is humility. The more you awaken, the more you see how little you know. The more you see, the more you realize there's so much more to see. A truly awakened person doesn't try to prove anything to anyone. Why? Because they know there's nothing to prove. They don't give advice unless asked. They don't judge anyone because they know everyone has their own journey. Check yourself constantly. Ask, am I special? Am I better than others? If the answer is yes, ego is still in the game. And never forget, real wisdom is knowing that you don't know. Real awakening is accepting that you're never fully awakened, because awakening is not an end, it's an infinite journey. But in the modern world, we believe there's a quick fix for everything. Pills to lose weight, courses to get rich, exercises to be happy, and of course, shortcuts to awakening. Just hold this crystal. Your chakras will open. Just listen to this frequency. Your brainwaves will change. Just apply this special technique. You'll be enlightened instantly. Just surrender to this guru. They'll take you there. All deception. Not because these things don't work. Some might even work. Crystals can be beautiful. Frequencies can be relaxing. But because there's no shortcut to awakening, awakening is not a product. It's not something you can buy. It's something you must live. People want quick results. Especially Western mentality is like this. Give me the fastest technique, they say. What's the most powerful meditation? They say how many days until enlightenment. They say as if ordering from Amazon. And the market knows this. Every day, a new revolutionary technique emerges. A new miracle method is sold. A new enlightened guru appears. And people rush. Pay money. Hope. Result. Disappointment. Deep disappointment. Because no technique, no method, no guru can awaken you. Only you can awaken yourself. They're just like a finger, pointing at the moon, but you're looking at the finger, not the moon. You're worshiping the vehicle, not the destination. Especially guru dependency is very dangerous because people love to give responsibility to someone else. To let someone else make decisions. He's my master. He knows, they say. Whatever he says is right, they say. And thus they lose their own inner guidance. A real teacher doesn't give you fish. They teach you how to fish. Then they let you go. Go. Now catch your own fish, they say. A real teacher doesn't make you dependent. They set you free. But fake gurus are everywhere. They want money, lots of it. They want power, constantly. They want control everywhere. And most importantly, they make you dependent on them. You'll be lost without me, they say. You won't awaken without my teachings, they say. Don't make anyone your savior. Don't consider any technique a magic solution. Trust the guide within you. Trust your intuition. Read books. Listen to teachers. Try techniques. But in the end, find your own path. Because awakening is not following someone else's path. It's creating your own path. And this takes time. It requires patience. There's no shortcut. Now let me tell you about the disease of our age. The need to share everything. The compulsion to broadcast every experience, every thought, every feeling on social media. Spiritual awakening is not exempt from this either. People share meditation photos. Photos sitting in lotus position. They post yoga poses, doing the hardest poses. They put up stories saying had a chakra opening. They tweet, my third eye opened today, but why? Ask yourself, Why are you sharing? Do you really want to share? Or get approval? Do you really want to help? Or collect admiration? Or are you saying, I'm awakened? You're not. Most of the time, it's the second options, and this is very dangerous, because it turns the spiritual journey into a performance, a show, and the moment you perform, you lose reality. You lose the essence. Real spiritual experiences are deep, very deep, personal. They carry a sacred inviolability. Telling everyone about them diminishes their power. Putting them in a showcase kills their essence. Ancient traditions knew this. That's why silence was the golden rule. Keep what you see was said. Hide what you experience was taught. Because they knew that the more you talk, the more you lose. But now it's the opposite. Everyone wants to tell everything, exaggerate every experience. Because they want likes, comments. They want people to say, wow, you're amazing. And the worst part, over time, you're not really living the experiences, you're just producing them to share. You're not meditating, you're taking meditation photos, thinking about which angle you look better from. You're not living awakening, you're performing awakening. Result, empty spirituality. Appearance without essence. Followers without truth. Likes without love, silence, simplicity, privacy. Keep your experiences to yourself, at least for a while. Digest them. Live them, understand their essence. Then, if they're really worth sharing, share them. But not for ego, for service. And never forget, real awakening happens where no one sees. In silence, in solitude, without camera, without like button, without followers. Now let me tell you the hardest thing. Letting go of your old self, your old habits, your comfort zone. Resistance to change. Awakening is not a comfortable process. It's the most uncomfortable experience because it questions everything you know, everything you learned. It destroys everything you're used to. And naturally, a resistance begins inside you, a strong resistance. Maybe I don't need to go this far, you say. Maybe I should go slower, you say. Maybe my old life wasn't that bad, you say. This is ego's last defense. Okay, change a little, but not completely, it says. Okay, wake up a little, but not completely, it says, because ego knows that full awakening means its end. That's why it tries to pull you back to your old habits. What's wrong with one night of fun? It says. Is having a drink with old friends bad? It says, is watching a little TV bad? It says, these are normal things, it says. Everyone does it, it says, and it seems right, because these things really are normal. Everyone really does them. But you're not normal anymore, you're changing. And for someone who's changing, the old normal now creates dissonance. Imagine you returned to an old habit. Maybe you drank too much alcohol. Maybe you got into a meaningless argument. Maybe you spent hours on the phone. Then what happened? You felt bad. Your energy level dropped. Your vibration decreased because you went backward. But this is natural. The journey isn't a straight line. You go forward, you come back, you rise, you fall. What matters is getting back up after falling. But the real danger is surrendering, saying, I can't change. Accepting, saying, this is my nature. Deceiving yourself, saying everyone's like this. No, not everyone is like this. And this is not your nature. These are just your habits, and habits can change. Is it hard? Yes. Is it impossible? No. Small steps. Being a little more conscious every day, every time you return to your old habit, observe yourself without judgment. Ah, I did it again. Why did I do it? What was I feeling? What triggered it? And over time, this awareness breaks the habit, because consciousness is the cure for everything. If it stays in darkness, the habit strengthens. If you bring it to light, the habit dissolves. But be patient, be kind to yourself. This is a journey. Here's where things get interesting. Now you know these traps. Maybe you recognized one in yourself. Maybe you saw a few. And now what will you do? Will you run from all of them? Will you try to live a perfect spiritual life? No, because that's also a trap. Running is not the solution. Perfection is not awakening. Look, the spiritual journey is a balancing act. On one side the world, on the other side the spirit. On one side matter, on the other side meaning. And you're dancing between the two. Staying away from these traps doesn't mean running from them. It means not falling into their trap. It means being aware. Being selective, stay away from your old environment, but don't judge them. Avoid spiritual ego, but be kind to yourself. Beware of quick fixes, but stay open-minded. Stop oversharing, but don't go completely silent. Leave your old habits, but don't try to be perfect. Because real awakening is not in absolutism. It's not in saying, this is right, this is wrong. It's in awareness, in every moment, in every situation, being here and now. Maybe today you'll meet with an old friend, but now you're aware. You're not getting caught in their energy. Maybe tomorrow you'll share something on social media, but now you know why you're doing it, for ego or for service. Maybe one day you'll return to an old habit, but this time you're not judging yourself. This is real awakening, not being perfect, being conscious, not avoiding mistakes, learning from mistakes, not avoiding falls, getting up after falling. And in this process, sometimes you'll feel lonely because few people walk this path. Sometimes you'll feel lost because there's no map, only a compass. Sometimes you'll feel tired because awakening is not easy. But remember, fatigue is a sign of progress. Loneliness is the price of freedom. Being lost is the beginning of finding Dot, and one day you'll look back. You'll see the path you've come, and you'll be amazed, did I really do this? You'll say, did I really change this much? You'll say, yes, you did. Yes, you changed, because you had courage, because you didn't give up, because despite all the traps, you kept walking. Remember that this journey is not an end, it's a beginning. You don't experience awakening once. You experience it every day, every moment, every breath. And in this process, be kind to yourself, be patient, be forgiving. Because awakening is not a war, it's a dance. Dance with life, dance with yourself, dance with the universe. Sometimes you stumble, sometimes you take a wrong step, but the dance continues. The music never ends, and you keep learning. These traps gave you a map, but the map is not the journey itself. Now you need to walk. Experience your own experience. Find your own truth. And on this journey, sometimes you'll fall. You'll get caught in these traps sometimes. This is normal. This is being human. What matters is realizing you've fallen and getting back up, because what you remember is actually what you never forgot. Awakening is not learning something new. It's remembering what you forgot, finding what you lost, and home is not far away. It's not somewhere else. It's not in the future. It's here now. Always here. You just weren't seeing it because you were searching everywhere except within yourself. Now, let me ask you a question. Which of these traps do you get caught in the most? And what will you do to free yourself from it? Think about it, but don't overthink, because the answer is not hidden in thought. It's hidden in action. The answer is not in tomorrow. It's in now. The answer is not outside. It's inside.